Good afternoon everybody, Cam Biker here. Just heading home from work after doing another couple of interviews. I think that's coming to an end now, I'm so fed up of interviewing. And I'm at the minute going through North Ferriby. I think somebody mentioned the other day they wanted me to go through North Ferriby. Well, here it is. I don't really know anything about North Ferriby, so I can't tell you a lot, other than it's quite near where I work. And it's got a spa. I know it's got a spa because I bought a bottle of Pepsi Max from there once. But apart from that, don't know a lot about it, I'm afraid. Just been having a discussion with the guys at work about the way that this country, and I think a lot of countries, seem to be skewing everything towards the big companies now. I love it when people get almost up to the white line before they start to look across. You never know, are they going to stop or not? There's a strange skew there is to big companies nowadays. And when the classic one is Amazon, and I suppose to a similar extent companies like Starbucks, the ones that are huge companies and yet pay no tax whatsoever. They pay out money to the shareholders that's based on profits, and the shareholders do very well out of it because they're in many cases already quite wealthy people, but they pay no tax, so they're not putting into the system. And quite an interesting discussion about it, because a lot of people complain about them not paying tax, and I'm with them on that. But they bring up this idea that if they paid the tax at the rate that everybody else pays, that we wouldn't have the austerity or whatever, but you'd be able to spend that money, put it into the pot, and you wouldn't have to cut back on other things. And to a degree that's right. But actually the thing that annoys me the most about them is not that they're not putting in, but of the secondary effect that has. Because if you're a small company, you have to pay tax. There's no way you can get out of it. If you're not a multinational, you're stuffed. But that means you're at an immediate disadvantage, and you're already at a disadvantage over a big company. So you want to set up a bookshop in this country and go up against Amazon, which you inevitably will do. Amazon are going to have far better buying power than you, so they're going to buy everything cheaper than you in the first place. And then on top of that, they're not paying any tax, and you're paying 20-odd%. So already you're at a double disadvantage. And the big problem I have with that is that although big companies individually employ more people than small ones, in reality in this country it's the small companies that are the employers. You know, the 100,000 companies that are employing 20 people rather than the 15 big companies that are employing a few thousand. And also it's those small companies where the growth comes. And also those small companies obviously that are paying into the tax pot because the big companies don't bother. I mean, some of the scams, and they are really scams, that these big companies are using in order to get around paying tax are absolutely appalling. I'm slightly loath to mention names of companies, but there was an absolutely brilliant example that I heard of, and it was a company that produces crisps in large numbers. So let's say I want to set up a company selling crisps, and I want to employ 2 or 3 people to help me fry the crisps or bake the crisps or whatever we decide to do. And I want to sell them at a competition. So a bag of crisps, I don't know what that costs because I don't eat them, but you know, maybe it's 50p for a packet of crisps. Kind of doesn't really matter in the end. The example still works. So let's say it's 50p for a packet of crisps. So as a crisp producer, maybe I spend 1p, and that's going to be far too much, but 1p on the raw ingredients for my crisps, the potatoes, the oils and all that, for enough to make a bag of crisps. I then get some artwork done, so I pay some money for that, but that's kind of a one-off cost for the artwork. I own that, but I've spent some money. I've added to my initial pot of money that I've had to spend just to get up and running. I then need some raw materials and machinery and maintenance costs and all that kind of stuff to actually package the crisps. And let's say all that adds together and I end up spending 20p, let's say, on the ingredients and the packaging and the distribution costs and everything per packet of crisps. Doesn't really matter. So I'm making 30p profit. Now, tax law is reasonably complicated, but it's not so complicated that we can't simplify it down to its basic constituents, which is I spend some money on something and then I sell it, and ultimately the difference is my profit. So on my packet of crisps I've spent 20p, I've sold it for 50p, I've made 30p profit. And if you're a little business, it's quite simple. Yeah, there's lots of other things you can do, and if you've got a good accountant, he'll help you out with that. But ultimately, you've made 30p profit, the taxman wants 20 something percent. Let's call it 20%, who cares? So it's 6p per packet of crisps. So when you've got all your costs in there and your tax and everything, you're going to make a bit of money, and hopefully you're going to use that to employ people. If you are a particular brand of crisps, and I'm sure there's more than one brand does this, you got a little get out. Because there are countries in Europe where we have free trade, so there's no customs duty or anything like that to worry about. But there are countries in Europe that are tax havens in various different ways, and let's not pretend that Britain isn't one of them. Britain is a really good tax haven if you're getting your money in certain ways. Now, one of the Nordic countries, and I forget which one it is, but it's one of the kind of northwestern European countries, has decided that if you're an artist, so you're a painter, let's say, and you create prints of your paintings and sell them, they decided that in order to try and encourage that, they would say that there were no taxes on royalties of reproduced artworks. So that's nice, isn't it? You're a small artist, you can get away without paying tax on the royalties that you earn by either selling your prints or by people using your prints. In a similar way that, if you're a musician, you get royalties every time your music is played. Well, this particular country says there's no tax on the royalties from every time your artwork is used. So if you're a big multinational crisp producer, what do? You could earn 30p profit on every packet of crisps and then pay 6p in tax on every packet of your billions of packets that you create every year. Or you could be one would say clever, I would say smarmy git. And what you do is you set up a company in this particular country, and you sell the artwork for your crisp packets, so that the rights to those crisp packets, those artwork for those crisp packets, is owned by this other company, and you put that company in this particular country. And then what you do is you sell the royalties or the rights to use your image to yourself. So let's say your crisp company is called Calm Bikers Crisps. You set up Calm Bikers artwork in the other country, they own the artwork, they sell the right to use the artwork on a packet by packet basis to Calm Biker Crisps, who are actually producing the crisps. And here's the clincher. You sell your packet of crisps for 50p. It costs you a couple of pence. Let's say we said 20p, didn't we? So it costs you 20p for all of your packaging and your raw materials and everything else. So you're making 30p profit. Calm Biker Artworks PLC then sells royalties to use that artwork at 30p per packet of crisps. Now, Calm Biker Artwork is making 30p profit per packet of crisps that it hasn't actually sold itself, but for the royalties thereof. So you're still making 30p profit. Isn't that grand? Unfortunately, Calm Biker Crisps, it costs 50p to make a packet of crisps, and we sell them for 50p, so we make no profit at all. So over here in good old Blighty, we made no profit, so there's nothing taxable. Over in said other country, we've made 30p profit. Luckily for us, that's in a country where artwork royalties are not taxable, so we pay no tax there either. Awesome! Back to Mr. B's awesome video now. Awesome! So we pay no tax at all. Then the only thing you've got to worry about is how do you get that cash out of that other company and back into your company, and ultimately back into your money grabbing fat cat hands, or paws, claws, whatever you want to call them. And there's a whole other episode on how you do that. Let's say it's just as sneaky. Now, all that aside, I go back to my first point. If you can get out of paying tax in that way, fair play, I can understand why you've done it. But the problem I've got with it is that you are then placing yourself at this unfair advantage over the little man. And this is why we now have quite a few huge international corporations that sell us most of our stuff, and why our high streets are full of empty shops. Anyway, I recorded this one just after doing the Mr. B's Awesome challenge, where I was completely happy. So this one, I'll leave it on a sad note, just to compensate Mr. B, just to compensate. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ride safe, shop local, and I'll talk to you all again soon.